Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Curse of Oak Island. The team searches the money pit spoils and uncovers a strange artifact. On the Curse of Oak Island, the team started hauling through the spoils from the money pit and found a surprising artifact that could be linked to former US President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Last night's episode, understandably, had its primary focus on the big dig at the money pit. The first 10-foot wide steel caisson, christened the Fellowship 1, was rammed into the ground at the same location as the old U1 borehole. The guys reckon that this site holds the best chance for uncovering treasure. It was here that last year Ian Spooner's analysis found a large portion of silver and gold in the water buried underneath. It's also where they found wood that was carbon dated back to 1488. And most impressively, it's where they found fragments of gold on 2 pieces of metal. The process is very straightforward. ROC Equipment uses the oscillator to drill the hole, and Irving Ltd. then sends down the massive hammer grab, which can pull up 11,000 lbs of dirt. This dirt is then spread out by Billy Gerhardt so that Gary Drayton can efficiently run his metal detector over it. After Gary has picked out any precious artifacts, all the dirt/spoils are sent to the wash plant to be cleaned and further studied by the guys to ensure they've not missed anything. But as Marty Lagina pointed out, we're not going to miss anything. Oak Island team expect to find treasure at the 90-feet mark. The goal was to hit the zone of interest, which lies approximately between 70 and 90 feet. This is where the guys think the treasure is most likely to be found and where they have recovered the most interesting artifacts to date. And once they hit that mark, the hammer grab started pulling up wood, a lot of wood, including fairly large beams. Marty said he was hoping there would be a lot of wood, as wood implies there are tunnels and structures buried underneath, which could have been used to house the treasure. A presidential boot on Oak Island? At one point, Gary found an old rubber boot, which Doug Crowell dated to around 1908/9. While a rubber boot is not exactly exciting stuff, it does beg the question, what was it doing 90 feet underground? Doug then pointed out that a major dig at the money pit had occurred in 1909, a dig that was attended by no less than future U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The possibility that this boot had belonged to FDR greatly amused the guys and would certainly be a fun piece of history if it could be confirmed. However, many fans will be hoping the team finds something a bit more shiny and valuable next week. The early morning mist clung to the island like a shroud, casting a ghostly pall over the pine trees and jagged rocks. The team stood near the money pit, its gaping maw still giving off the scent of damp earth and mystery. Rick Lagina squinted into the fog, his breath clouding the air as he turned to his brother Marty. "This is it," Rick said, voice laden with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "We go through the spoils one more time." Marty nodded, his eyes scanning the scattered debris from the previous excavations. "You think something's still down there after all these years?" Rick's expression hardened. "I know it." The rest of the Oak Island team gathered around, the mechanical clatter of diggers and drills slowly quieting. They had searched this area countless times, but the money pit, that infamous enigma, had always held its secrets tightly. The treasure hunters had unearthed coins, scraps of parchment, and even old timbers, but none of it had ever felt definitive, like the find they had all hoped for, and yet the island whispered to them, urged them on. Jack Begley leaned over one of the spoil piles, a rake in hand, slowly pulling back layers of mud and stone. His brow furrowed as something caught his eye. A glint, a shimmer amidst the gray muck. "Hold up," Jack called out. "I think I've got something here." Everyone froze. The hum of the machinery ceased, and the team rushed to Jack's side. Craig Tester knelt down, examining the pile of dirt Jack was sifting through. "Careful," Craig said quietly. "Let's not disturb it too much." With slow, deliberate movements, Jack brushed away more soil, revealing a small, irregularly shaped object. It wasn't shiny or metallic like gold or silver. Instead, it was dull, covered in grime, but its shape was peculiar. A carved figure, maybe, or something symbolic. Rick's heart pounded as he peered closer. "It's definitely old," Rick murmured, "but what is it?" Gary Drayton, the metal detection expert, squatted beside them, his eyes gleaming. That's no ordinary object. That looks like some kind of artifact, ancient, maybe ceremonial. He reached out with gloved hands and gingerly lifted the artifact from the mud. As he wiped it clean with a cloth, the object began to reveal itself. A figure, small enough to fit in the palm of a hand, carved from dark stone. The features were worn but still discernible, a humanoid shape with large eyes and elongated limbs. The team stared at it in silence, the weight of its mystery settling over them like a fog thicker than the one draping the island. "What is it?" Marty asked, breaking the tension. Gary turned it over in his hands, inspecting the underside. "I don't know, mate. Could be something ancient, like really ancient. Doesn't look European to me, that's for sure. Maybe something older, something from a time we haven't even considered." The air grew heavy with the implications. Theories about Oak Island's treasure had always revolved around historical figures, pirates, Templars, European explorers, but this looked different. It was unlike anything they had ever found. "I'll bet this was hidden deep," Jack said, excitement creeping into his voice. "Like way below the flood tunnels. How did it even end up in the spoils?" Craig stood up, his face a mask of concentration. "If it's what I think it is, this artifact could rewrite the history of the island. This changes everything." Rick, still gazing at the strange object, felt the familiar pull of Oak Island's mystery deep in his gut. The money pit had swallowed fortunes, lives, and lifetimes of hope. But this discovery, this strange, otherworldly carving, might be the key to unlocking it all. The object felt ancient, older than anything they'd ever imagined. The stone's surface bore intricate markings, worn but unmistakably deliberate. Lines and symbols crisscrossed its body, creating a pattern that looked both familiar and alien. "I've never seen anything like this," Marty admitted, his voice tinged with awe. "Not even close." Rick stood, cradling the artifact as though it were a fragile piece of the past. Could it be connected to the people who came here before us? The ones who built the original traps and structures? Gary looked at him, eyes wide. "That's what I'm thinking, Rick. This could predate the money pit by centuries, maybe even millennia." The implications hung heavy in the air. What if Oak Island's treasure wasn't gold or jewels at all? What if the true value of the island lay in something far more profound, something buried deep in time itself? As they discussed the possibilities, the ground beneath them seemed to shift, the island almost reacting to the revelation. The team exchanged nervous glances. Over the years, Oak Island had become more than a dig site. It was alive, pulsing with secrets waiting to be uncovered. "We need to get this analyzed," Craig said, his voice steady but urgent. "This could be the most important find we've ever made." Rick nodded. "Agreed. Let's take it back to the lab." As they carefully packed the artifact and prepared to leave the site, Rick couldn't shake the feeling that they had only scratched the surface of something much larger. The discovery of this strange artifact opened a new chapter in the Oak Island saga, one that might lead them down paths they had never expected to explore. As they walked back toward the research center, the mist began to lift, revealing the sun peeking over the horizon. The island, it seemed, was waking up, its ancient secrets stirring beneath the soil. But for Rick, Marty, and the rest of the team, the question remained: had they truly uncovered the first real clue to the treasure, or had they stumbled upon something far older and far more mysterious than they had ever imagined? The money pit, as always, held its secrets. But now the team had a new puzzle to solve, one that could unravel the very history of the island itself.